So what is the other world? This is a topic which many people, I think, do not properly understand. It's a term that's thrown around a lot by a lot of people when talking about paganism or Celtic mythology, but which is often misunderstood. So the most common mistake is to conflate the other world with the underworld. The underworld is the lower realm, associated with soil, minerals, water, and fire, which bubble up from the deep. It's the source of wealth, and it's also the realm where the unelevated spirits of the living return to the earth and are eventually recycled again in the process of reincarnation. It's associated with Hades in the Greek and Roman tradition, but it shares much more in common, I think, with Dies Pater from the Roman, specifically Roman tradition. It's the source of wealth and life, but ultimately where life returns to. And I think in the Celtic tradition, this realm is represented by the Dagda, and that is why he carries a club or staff which brings people back to life with one end, but kills them with the other. So the other world is not the underworld. Instead, the underworld exists within the other world. And there are, in fact, 3 key planes within the other world, although there are more. But the 3 key ones are the celestial, the middle, and the underworld. The central realm is the land upon which all various deities act. Middle Earth, you could call it. In Greek terms, the celestial is Mount Olympus, while the lower is Hades, or even Tartarus below that. In Germanic tradition, the celestial is Asgard, with Hell being the underworld. And, Middle or Middle Earth in the Greek tradition is conflated with the sea, which is also level. Which is how you have a god like Poseidon as a sea god, yet he's also the god of horses, god of earthquakes, god of springs, etc. It seems very important to realize that Poseidon is not simply a god of the sea, or did not originate. His original conception was not specifically limited to the sea. His name actually means something more like Earth Mover or Earth Lord. So these are the 3 primary realms, though there exists, more than these realms. And also within the Celtic tradition, this is the same, but it's not made as obvious as it is in certain other traditions. So the Celtic tradition instead focuses on the idea of the other world. And all the spiritual realms exist within the other world, and the concept of the other world is also within the Greek and Roman tradition, but it's not made explicit. So the other world is the realm of the unseen, whereas the seen world is the world of the everyday, which we observe with our eyes or try to analyze through scientific methods. So the other world is the realm of causes, where the gods interact with us and the world. And one could think of it as another dimension, but I actually think it's not useful to think of it like this. You should probably stay away from the terminology like this, because it locks us into a certain modern scientific framework, which is probably not helpful. So instead, a better way to conceive of it is between the seen and unseen. That which exists in the unseen are causes or forces which can interact with each other on that same level, but which cause changes in the seen world. So the gods and our own spirits exist in the unseen world, and it's there where interactions with the gods and spirits generally take place. Think of the seen world as the surface of the ocean. There are so many things going on beneath the waters, yet all we see are the waves upon the surface. And existence is very much the same. The so-called physical world is nothing but waves atop the great sea. the gods move invisibly to the eyes of the average mortal because they move within the other realm in most cases. So when Apollo sneaks up on Patroclus in the Iliad and slaps him from behind, that is the cause of his death. His actual death is caused by this spear thrust, right? But the cause of his death was Apollo slapping him from behind, which caused him to be momentarily stunned and to not be able to defend himself for that split moment in time. And you can think about your own life, and at moments, and we do this all the time, and we say things like, what was I thinking? Why did I do that? Why did I think this certain thing? Why did I do this? I wasn't myself, right? This is what we're talking about. These are the different kind of forces which are operating on you, which you're not necessarily always aware of until after they happen. Just like Patroclus, after he got slapped by Apollo. Apollo was moving in mist. Patroclus couldn't see him. But after he was hit, and then he was struck and dying, he realized what had happened. This is just like us, and it happens, very regularly. But we shrug it off. The ancients would have recognized this as the actions of gods or even evil spirits operating within the realm of the unseen, within the other world, acting upon your spirit and causing these effects within our material bodies. So in the Irish tradition, we have similar stories of the gods moving invisibly, moving in mist. There's a story about a mythical king looking out and witnessing trouble in his host and asking his druid what was going on, and the reply was, "The Dagda moves amongst the host, striking men down with his club, yet none see him." But the druid does see him. It's the role of the seer to see into the other world, to read the signs of the gods, which others cannot, to interpret visions and dreams, to read signs in the clouds or formations of birds, or listen to the rustling of the leaves and hear the voice of potentially Zeus in the Greek tradition, or even potentially Gwydion or Lu in the Celtic tradition. So to look out upon the host and to see the ultimate cause of defeat, it's not that the Dagda is literally striking people down. So it's not that, if we were to picture this happening in a movie, that all of a sudden men are flying left and right and everybody's looking around and they can't see what could possibly be causing this and everybody's confused. This isn't what the druid sees when he looks out. What he sees is the ultimate cause of what is going on. So rather it is that people are being killed by the enemy. There is panic, there is weakness, and people are dying. And the cause of them losing, the ultimate cause, is because the Dagda has turned his power against them. That he is using his power to strike them down. And whether they are felled by the enemy's spears and swords, they are ultimately being killed by the Dagda because his power has been manifested against their host. And it's the same way when Apollo fires his bow. When he's shooting his bow at the Achaeans, he is not killing the army with arrows. People are not falling down mysteriously dead with arrows sticking out of them that say Apollo on it. He is striking them down with the plague because he is the ultimate cause of the plague. Right? His force manifested in the other world, and its physical manifestation is the plague. So we don't have this childish view that the gods are literally shooting arrows or hitting people with sticks or whatever, right? These are stories, allegorical stories, which are very important because they encapsulate ideas that are not easily expressed. And if you try to get into the philosophical minutiae of it, then it's going to be very difficult for the average person to be able to, one, care about them, or two, to really understand them, take them to heart, and pass them on through the generations. So the gods are directly manifest in the Otherworld, and this was understood by the ancients. And some modern people think that they were so dumb, like, why didn't they just climb Mount Olympus and realize that there were no gods up there? Like, how dumb were they? Because it's actually us who are so dumb. They never thought that there were literal physical gods sitting on top of the mountain. The mountain is a reference to the celestial height. And as Olympus was the highest mountain in Greece, it was chosen as the symbolic realm of the gods because of that fact of how high it was. Not because it was actually believed that if you climbed the mountain, the gods were sitting on top of the mountain. So the role of the druid or priest was to be able to gain a glimpse into the other world, or to be able to read manifestations in the physical world or the seen world, and correctly interpret them as signs from the gods. And this is why sight is such an important concept in polytheism, but that will be covered in a future video. Anyway, I hope you found this interesting. If you did, please like, subscribe, and as always, stand tall.